and a very happy Wednesday to you at 12:07 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, last night was the first statewide televised debate of the 2026 California governor's race. And once again, gubernatorial candidate and former Los Angeles mayor Antonio Villaraigosa forgot what job he was running for.
As mayor, crime went down 50%. Graduation rates went up 60%, put 275,000 people to work in the worst recession. I'd be honored to be your mayor, your governor.
Oh, my.
He's done that so many times.
Okay, you know what's so weird about Tony V? Is that he did not age a day for like 30 years. Did you notice that? He always looked the same.
Must have been that Herbalife.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if he uses cold cream at night. I don't know if he... I don't know what he does. Whatever it is, it
no,
worked
I had to
out for him.
dump that. That's too gross.
Not in San Francisco.
Continue.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe he wears SPF 50. Whatever it is that he did worked out for a very long time. And then he went away during COVID, and we saw that one picture of him where he looked like Father Time.
He let the hair grow out, as we all did, and it aged him quite a bit.
And then he comes back, and all of a sudden, he's Grandpa Simpson.
Well, again, the last time anybody really paid attention to him was he was Los Angeles mayor. He stopped being Los Angeles mayor 13 years ago. That's a long time.
But he would pop up from time to time. I mean, he seems like the type that would get cast on Dancing with the Stars or something. But I don't remember him being this absent-minded. When he does a sit-down interview with a reporter, it's like watching a drunk man drive down an icy road when he's answering those questions.
No, peanut.
He is the oldest person running for governor, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, he's got to sharpen up if he expects to win this office. And I don't know what that involves. I do a lot of cruise ships, and a lot of the elderly people on the cruise ships do the word searches to keep sharp. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Maybe he needs to watch Jeopardy every night. That seems to be popular. Whatever it is, you got to get with the program if you want to win this election on your last hurrah. And right now, whatever it is that he's doing ain't cutting it.
Well, you can say that for a lot of the people up on stage.
Now, let me tell you, first of all, 3 of them weren't there. Well, a lot of them weren't there, but many of them are gadflies who have no chance at all. But of the candidates with a theoretical chance, there was no Chad Bianco, who apparently had a grandchild that was born and decided to skip the debate to see the grandchild. You had Eric Swalwell, who wasn't there because he said he had to vote in Washington, D.C. on bills, correct?
He said he had to fly back to D.C. to vote to end the shutdown, which would be one of the few times this year he actually showed up in D.C. for a vote.
And then Katie Porter missed it because I guess she was baking a souffle.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
What the hell do you think she was doing that was so damn important that she had to miss the debate?
She thought herself to be the front runner, but when it comes to the first, and this was a statewide televised debate, it aired on Fox 11 in Southern California and KTVU Fox 2 in the Bay Area. That is massive exposure. What could she possibly have been doing that was more important?
I don't know. My guess is that she thought that she would be the target from all the other candidates. All the other candidates would be going after her because she had been leading in the polls. But that was before her screeching menopausal explosions came out on tape.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
She could have had the opportunity to go up to Tom Steyer on stage and scare the hell out of him.
Now, I do have to say this. The debate without Katie Porter is a lot less entertaining than it would be with Katie Porter. Because even though she's unlikely to win the election at this point, not having her on stage is like watching the Jackson 5 without Michael. Who's going to go to the concert to watch Tito? Nobody. She brings it. She brings the star power. She's run for U.S. Senate before. She's had many viral moments on that internet. She knows how to bring the drama. And in addition to that, she is also the one that brings the mystery. Because when Katie Porter is part of any public forum, you don't know if it's going to end in a 911 call or not.
Paul!
So not having her there took that element out of the mix. And I have to say, that brings the drama level way, way down. And if there's anything that we've learned since the popularity of reality TV, is if people aren't throwing Chardonnay in one another's faces, nobody watches. Well, it's hard to have Chardonnay thrown in people's faces without the queen bee sommelier there. And that's what happened. Now, you look at the polls in that race, and the polls have been quite consistent ever since those Porter tapes became public. And that is that the two Republicans are leading in all the polls. Depending on which poll you look at, they flip and they flop. But Steve Hilton, the Republican Fox News commentator, and Chad Bianco, the Republican Riverside County Sheriff, have been sharing the 1 and 2 slots for quite some time now. The problem for the Democrats is that they're all bunched together. They're all somewhere between 5 and 11 points. And the problem when you have a bunch of candidates bunched together between 5 and 11 points is they're all within the margin of error of one another. Any of them could theoretically win, all of them could theoretically lose, which means if you're the Democratic Party and you're trying to narrow the field down so that 2 Republicans don't make it to the November runoff, you have to have someone with gravitas to call one of these people into the room and say, it's time for you to stand down. This is not your race to win. Get out. And the issue becomes, first of all, I don't know who that person is. What, do they fly Barack Obama in and have him have the talk with Katie Porter? Guess what? She's going to take him into the bathroom and give him a swirly.
Little D.
That's not going to work. You think that he can talk Antonio Villaraigosa out of the race? He's 900 years old. This is the last hurrah.
This is it for Tony.
What are you going to say? You know, if you don't drop out of this race, when you run for Board of Equalization 4 years from now, the party's not going to support you. Well, he doesn't have to worry about that. And here's the other thing. All of them have an argument to stay in. If you're polling at 6%, but the people that they want you to bow down for are only polling at 9%, why would you do that? That doesn't seem fair to me. Because guess what? They have a bad news cycle. You have a good news cycle. You could be ahead of them tomorrow. Why would you fold your tent? And then last night, when I was watching the debate, worst case scenario happened for the Democratic Party. The 2 Democrats who came off the best were the 2 that theoretically have no viability. Betty Yee, the former controller, and Tony Thurmond, one of the Tonys, the state superintendent of public instruction. Why is that? Well, the other politicians come from other places. Katie Porter came from the federal government. Javier Becerra came from the federal government. He was Secretary of Health and Human Services. Antonio Villaraigosa came from LA City government. Tom Steyer came from being a billionaire. They don't really understand state government that well. The 2 politicians that don't have a chance, Betty Yee and Tony Thurmond, They understand state government because that's where they come from. So you ask them questions about it, they can answer you without having to look at notes because they know the information backwards and forwards. Well, if they came off looking the best and they're both at 1% or 2% or wherever they are, then their numbers are going to go up and you're going to have even more candidates bunched together. Because if there's any of them that you're going to push out of the race, it's going to be those two because you could make the argument that they have no chance. Well, if the bold-faced names don't show up to the debates and they're the ones that do, and they're the ones that come off looking the best, they're going to be rewarded for that. I don't know if it's going to be enough to make them viable candidates, but I would assume that their numbers are going to go up after last night. Steve Hilton, the Republican, was the only Republican on stage because Chad Bianco didn't show up, which he tends to do.
Any specific examples you want to cite?
No, that's in the past. So Hilton came off looking good last night. Also, bad news for the Democratic Party. And Randy, there was a moment that stood out in your mind when Steve Hilton was asked a question at that debate.
So for some reason, the first question at this California debate was about immigration, because I guess, of course, it is. But Steve Hilton decided, and this was the first direct question after introduce yourself, to take this opportunity to just go full-on knives out at Chad Bianco on a completely unrelated issue.
Why not?
My question to all the candidates on the stage tonight is, what is your message to those who are in this country legally, those who are undocumented, and California families in general? Mr. Hilton, I'd like to start with you.
Before we go on, I really think I need to address the elephant in the room, or perhaps, as some might say, the rhino who's not in the room.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
My Republican colleague, Chad Bianco, is not here tonight to face these Democrats or his record. In 2020, during the Black Lives Matter riots, he took a knee when told to by BLM. Now he says he was praying. Well, watch the video for yourself at blmbianco.org.
That domain was available?
Well, apparently he owns it.
That is blmbianco.org. We cannot risk splitting the Republican vote and letting the Democrats in. Chad Bianco has got more baggage than LAX. We cannot.
That one got a laugh. By the way, this was a question that was supposed to be about immigration.
Yes, which is, by the way, a federal issue and has nothing to do with state politics. But I digress.
We cannot have BLM Bianco, the shifty sheriff, as our candidate. Chad Bianco, he needs to drop out of this race, just as he dropped out of tonight's debate.
So the election season has officially begun because it's starting to get ugly.
Now, yesterday we played for you the cooking video involving Katie Porter, where she was taking a knife to carrots over and over and over again, and the chopping got more violent the more she kept talking about Tom Steyer.
Sorry for the noise, I'm cutting carrots.
Well, listen to this. She's really not going to like this. Tom Steyer just dumped another $9.3 million into his campaign for California governor, bringing his total spend to just over $38 million and counting.
And this race has just barely started. You know how Tom Steyer keeps saying that, I made a pledge to give away all of my money before I die? Apparently what he meant was he means to give away all of his money to consultants.
Now, let me put that number in perspective for you. At $38 million, Tom Steyer has more money than Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco and Democrats Antonio Villaraigosa, Eric Swalwell, Katie Porter, Javier Becerra, Betty Yee, and Tony Thurmond combined. When you add all of their money together, they have $34.3 million, and Steyer himself has $38 million.
He could spend $100 million. Steyer's not winning.
It's going to be a rough night to be a carrot in Katie Porter's house tonight.
Sorry for the noise. I'm cutting carrots.
If you want to react to last night's debate, give us a call at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, at the end of the week, we're going to Long Beach.
It's only in a couple of days. Right now, it's Wednesday, then it's Thursday, then it's Friday. And at Friday, we're going to be in Long Beach at Gladstone's in Long Beach for our next live broadcast, and you are invited. Come enjoy the great food, good vibes, and a fun afternoon by the water. We'll have special guests like our friend Susan Shelley from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association. She'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. As we have been telling you, the courts made it easier to raise your taxes. It's all this nonsense with citizens' initiatives. Come by and sign the petition to save and strengthen Prop 13. The deadline is coming fast. Susan needs all those signatures by February 17th. So if you haven't already done it, go to saveprop13.com, fill out the petition, and send it in. Come hang out with us, grab a bite, and be part of the broadcast, The John Phillips Show at Gladstone's in Long Beach this Friday from noon to 3.
Let's go to Craig in Los Gatos. Craig, hello.
Hi, John. I've been on the phone this morning with my reps, the state senator, et cetera, and I found out that they had no knowledge of the amount of fraud that's going on. They had no knowledge at all. Two items here. One, Kim Wynn, representative from Anaheim, had sent a letter to Newsom just recently informing him that SNAP numbers or PIN numbers have been stolen, and it's costing millions, and they've done nothing about it. Channel 7, ABC, just did a whole thing on ghost students here. That is, kids that are in junior or community colleges that are taking money, and they don't even exist. And, of course, the $126 million to the nonprofit down in L.A. for the homeless, and it goes on and on and on. But this was never addressed in any of the questions to the candidates last night. And by the way, if you've been out here and watched it on KTVU, Channel 2, it went dark for quite a while. So we didn't even see part of it when they lost. I don't know why they lost the signal. But it's just amazing the amount of ignorance that our representatives have.
All
and
right.
you ask them, well,
we're up against a hard break, but I think we got the point. Thank you for the call, sir. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. And Randy, what do you say we take a call?
Let's go to Carl in Orange. Carl, hello.
Yeah, hi, you guys. First of all, I wish you guys would slow down when you announce your email address and your phone number. It took me 3 days to finally contact you. But the reason I'm calling, and I saw your article this morning, John, I would like you to have David Johnson of the California GOP for Santa Clara County on, the backstory on Matt Mahan, because I think he is another Abigail Spanberger, and that's not what California needs.
Well, here's the way I see it. I will be voting for a Republican in the primary. I'm a Republican. We used to have closed primaries. Now we have an open primary, and you can vote for any candidate who is a member of any political party or candidates who belong to no political party. If the election were today, I would be voting for Steve Hilton. That being said, there are any number of other candidates who are running in various parties. There are a number of Democrats who are running. This is a primarily Democratic state. We are a blue state that reliably votes for the Democratic candidate for president. We haven't had a Republican governor since Arnold Schwarzenegger. And to my eye, the most attractive Democratic candidate that currently exists in the field is Matt Mahan. Now, why is that important and why is that worth noting? Well, you could end up with a November ballot where you have the choice between two Democrats. That is a possibility. We've done that before when Kamala Harris ran against Loretta Sanchez. We've had it happen down the ballot for various races for Assembly and Congress and State Senate and different places. If you have a choice between two Democrats, to my eye, Matt Mahan is head and shoulders above all of the others. So much better than Katie Porter, so much better than Tom Steyer, so much better than Eric Swalwell, so much better than all the others. And I think as voters, you kind of have to evaluate the field in that capacity. You may not get your first choice. Well, if you don't get your first choice, you don't want to end up with your last choice. And you have to keep an open mind in terms of, okay, there are different permutations that could end up on the November ballot, and I have to be open to, I guess, coming up with whoever is the best candidate of whatever choices I'm given.
Yeah, I guess you did the thinking in front of me. I think ideally we'd love to see Bianco versus Hilton, but that's probably not going to happen. And if
the polls are right, that's what will happen today. The polls have shown those two in the first and second slot for quite some time now. And if the Democratic Party isn't panicking, they should be, because if the election were held today, I think that's what the result would be.
Yeah, but I guess your next best option would be Mahan versus Hilton or Bianco, and that would at least give us a chance at changing some things that are definitely going wrong with the state.
Yeah, look,
Correct.
If Matt Mahan were governor, this state would be so much better off than we are right now. And I don't think there's any question about that. And if it is Matt Mahan versus one of the Republican candidates, Matt Mahan would be the heavy favorite, but we'd have a debate over state issues. If it's not Matt Mahan, you're just going to get Katie Porter screeching about Donald Trump 24/7. And I don't know how that does anything for any of us that live here.
Yeah, I'm a lifetime resident, and things need to change. I was born in the 50s. What a beautiful place that has gone to hell. So, well, I appreciate it, John, explaining to me. Yeah, I appreciate it explaining to me. I'm much older than you, but I enjoy your show, and I enjoy your insight. You are one of the persons I point my my constituents or my friends or my fellow voters toward. And I said, if you want to know California, tune into the John Phillips Show. So thank you so much for your time and explaining it. And, of course, as always, you make great common sense, something that's missing in today's society. Have a good day.
Well, thank you for the call, sir. I appreciate it. And I'm jealous that you live so close to Angel Stadium. If I lived that close to Angel Stadium, it would be dangerous because I would be there all the time, and I'd witness a lot of losing.
Yeah, are you really prepared for that level of disappointment on a daily basis?
You know what's funny is I don't live very far from a casino, and I do not let myself walk in there. I don't go to the restaurants in there. Once in a blue moon, I'll go to a show that's there, but I will not let myself gamble there because the moment I start gambling there, anytime it starts raining, anytime, I don't know, there's nothing going on, I'm going to be sitting in front of that Ultimate X video poker machine, and that's not good for anyone.
Is this why your gambling nicotine patch is going to happy hour with a bunch of scratchers?
Pretty much. If I lived next to Angel Stadium, I'd be there all the time. All right. It is now official. Spencer Pratt is a candidate for mayor in the city of Los Angeles.
He filed the paperwork yesterday. It's on. Is anyone else getting this race? Let's find out. Here is NBC4 in Los Angeles.
Now at 4:30, it is official. Former reality TV star Spencer Pratt filed to run for mayor of Los Angeles today. Pratt lost his home in the Palisades fire last year. And a key piece of his campaign is his sharp criticism of Mayor Bass.
That's the best part of it.
Did you see, I guess someone was giving him hell for wearing the Heidi Montag T-shirts and always wearing the baseball cap. And they said, why don't you go out and buy some adult clothes? His response was, I had a closet full of beautiful clothes until they burned it down.
That's a pretty good defense
of Mayor Bass.
NBC4's Keenan Willard live for us at LA City Hall with Pratt's message to registered voters in Los Angeles. Keenan.
Hey, Michael, after filing his paperwork today, Spencer Pratt started and ended his remarks by saying essentially that a vote for him is a vote against Mayor Karen Bass, who was extremely...
That's a strong point.
Yep.
He was extremely critical of her record on a number of issues, specifically the January fires of last year. He also made probably his largest campaign promise so far. Some experts, though, saying it might not be possible to pull off.
A new reality today.
Of course. It's going to be a lot of that.
Candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, wearing a T-shirt dedicated to his wife's 2010 pop album, reality TV star Spencer Pratt filed his official paperwork, saying his message to voters is simple.
Because it's me or Karen Bass, and we have no other choice.
You know what's funny? He's running for mayor because they burned his house down. She ran for mayor because she got passed over for vice president for Kamala Harris and wanted a consolation prize.
It's not a namsy-pamsy thing.
And latest polling shows that even in Los Angeles, she is incredibly unpopular going into this election, where her approval rate is bad. There's just not a whole lot of candidates that have any kind of name ID. Now Spencer Pratt is in there, but Austin Butner was a complete thud. That didn't go anywhere. But she is not popular in the city of Los Angeles. People are actually clamoring for the good old days of Garcetti.
I've received things on both ends.
I wonder how she's polling in Ghana.
Pratt was one of many living in the Pacific Palisades who lost their homes in last January's fires. He became a vocal critic of how Mayor Bass handled the fires and aftermath, announcing his candidacy for mayor at the one-year remembrance for the Palisades fires last month.
She should have resigned a long time ago. It's scary to think what's going on outside of the Palisades, where they don't have somebody like me every day trying to expose and fight for accountability.
There's a lot of corruption and a lack of accountability in every single department in Los Angeles with Karen Bass in charge.
The LA city government may be, well, there's Oakland. But without Oakland, it would be the worst performing governmental body in the state of California.
I would say that's true.
We asked Pratt what issues are a priority for him outside of the Palisades.
What policies then changes do you believe need to be made for the city of Los Angeles?
Did you drive around here? First, homelessness, because we spend, everyone makes up different numbers. But let's just throw billions. Let's not add billions. We spend billions of dollars to clean the streets up, and there's more homeless now than there have ever been.
Fact check true.
I'm telling you, this guy coming at this race, not with a political background, just coming at it from the point of view of the everyman, from a homeowner, from someone who pays taxes here, someone who raises their kids here, and has a little dose of common sense, he's going to be able to connect with people because what he's saying resonates with what you're seeing with your own two eyes. And everything that Karen Bass tells you does not reflect what you see and what your experience is.
Oh, you're so optimistic.
And there's more homeless now than there have ever been.
A statement that doesn't align with the latest data from the city and county's annual homeless count.
Now, before we jump all over this fact check, I just want you to know they're about to fact check their own fact check. So listen to this in its entirety before you judge the reporting here.
A statement that doesn't align with the latest data from the city and county's annual homeless count, which showed small decreases in homelessness for the past 2 years. Though NBC4 previously reported that the Rand Corporation did their own count in 3 neighborhoods and found the city had significantly undercounted the homeless in the last year and year before.
Exactly.
Okay, but let's for one moment take the cookbooks from the city, where the city says that the number of homeless people is actually going down. How many people die on the streets every day? Is it like 3?
No, it was 3 when Karen Bass ran. Now it's between 5 and 7, depending on if you're talking about the city or the county. Most of them happening at MacArthur Park.
Okay, if she can cull the herd by 7 a day just from drug overdoses and murder, and the number is only going down a tick, what does that tell you?
These programs are completely ineffective, and at the worst, they're incredibly corrupt. Let's not forget the big bust that happened with Bill Asaley and the crooked nonprofit, Mr. Abundant Blessings, who was taking all the money to feed the homeless, giving them ramen and buying fancy cars and fancy houses, was a contractor for Karen Bass's Inside Safe.
But just think about those numbers for a second. If they're saying it went down a tick and 7 of them are dying a day, that means we must be producing 6 a day. Because you have to keep 7 a day to keep the numbers flat to make up for the death.
This is why nobody's buying the numbers.
Pratt also listed crime and corruption as priorities, saying if elected, he'll enlist.
Those are the main issues.
Well, she wants the issues to be about Donald Trump, ICE, the government shutdown, everything going on in Washington, D.C.
The IRS to audit the city government.
Also, as mayor, I have a good relationship with the IRS criminal investigation team. First week, I'm bringing them in. Here's all the books. Open this up. Let's see all the corruption.
NBC4 spoke to a political expert who says the federal agency wouldn't be able to audit the city of L.A.
But he begins.
Well, then somebody else can do it.
But he begins to show his lack of experience and understanding of how government works. The idea that the IRS itself would be interested in doing it, have the...
I don't know if the argument of, well, you need experience for this job is going to matter. How much experience did Karen Bass have? And she's been a disaster.
And look at Eric Garcetti before her. He was the president of the city council before he became mayor.
Have the legal authority to do it, and even have the legal authority to do it, and even have the expertise to do it.
Some experts telling us Pratt's candidacy could shake up the mayor's race, as he could perform strongly in the Palisades and appeal to more conservative LA voters, which could make a...
They do exist. There's not many of them, but they do exist.
And they vote.
Which could make a runoff in the mayor's race possible.
So Pratt's entry into the race has the possibility of structuring what occurs not only in June, but possibly in November.
With Pratt getting in this thing, the rumblings about Lindsay Horvath getting in this thing, it's very likely that Karen Bass does not just survive this thing outright in June and it has to go to a runoff, which is at least something.
I saw one poll, and I forget where it came from, that showed that she had 2/3 of the city believing she was doing a poor job.
Yep.
A lot to watch there with these developments. We reached out to Mayor Bass's office for a response to Pratt's sharp criticism today. And we also reached out to the IRS regarding his claims about the possibility of a future audit. We are awaiting a response on both of those fronts. For the moment, from downtown Los Angeles, Keenan Willard, NBC4 News.
So there you go. Spencer Pratt has officially filed. He is running in the LA mayor's race.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. Gavin Newsom's indicted former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, officially got a new liver.
And her court dates are getting pushed back quite a bit. For more, here is KCRA 3 and the wonderful Ashley Zavala.
We have an update on the case against Governor Gavin Newsom's ex-top aide, who's facing nearly 24 federal charges.
Yeah, we've learned tonight that Dana Williamson is in the hospital after having a successful medical procedure, but that's impacting her case. KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala.
By the way, just saying it's a medical procedure gives you a very different story. But I don't know. There might be legitimate, reasons why you need a new liver that aren't just from overuse.
Well, come on. What were the stories that we heard about her, that she would get lit at night and call people up and threaten them on behalf of the governor?
Yeah, she was doing that to anyone who was supporting Prop 36. I bet you somewhere there is a recording of her screaming at Matt Mahan 2 years ago.
I'm sure.
But that's impacting her case. KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala was the first to report this today, and she has this update.
Dana Williamson got a liver transplant and is getting more time to prepare for her next court date in the federal case against her. Her attorney confirmed this to me today.
This, of course, the scam where she and another guy were siphoning money out of Javier Becerra's accounts and then going on a little shopping spree.
I wonder if she was drinking the top shelf stuff then.
Her attorney confirmed this to me today. Williamson was indicted in November and was not expected to attend routine court proceedings as she waited for a new liver.
Isn't it interesting how as soon as somebody gets indicted, that's when all the health problems show up?
Oh, yeah. Remember Bill Cosby was suddenly blind when he was on trial?
Weinstein with the walker. Even Curran Price is constantly feigning now while he's awaiting trial.
Somebody get that man a feigning chair.
Federal prosecutors accuse Williamson of various crimes stemming from 3 separate incidents, including organizing a scheme to steal $225,000 in funds from an inactive political campaign, plus allegedly falsifying.
You know that happens all the time.
Oh, I'm sure she's the angriest person on planet Earth that the whistle was blown on her.
This is like the Shang defense. Hey, why are you narking on me? Everyone does this.
Plus allegedly falsifying documents as she was being investigated for taking small business loans during the pandemic and alleged tax fraud. A status conference was scheduled this week in Sacramento to discuss the case's timeline moving forward and a possible trial date, but that status conference has been pushed to April 16th. Williamson's attorneys in a recent court filing pointed to the medical procedure and also all the documents and data they still need to go through that prosecutors had collected in this case. Now, before Williamson's attorney McGregor Scott confirmed her liver transplant with me today, I had heard it from several sources this morning. Those same sources told me Williamson had been calling some former political clients, basically looking for work for her consulting services to put her on retainer.
So she's so sick from the liver transplant, she can't show up to court, but she's looking for jobs to moonlight on?
Yes. As she's currently under indictment and awaiting trial, she's seeing if she can pick up some new clients.
While Scott could confirm the transplant, he said he could not speak to that client situation.
There you go. There's the latest on the Dana Williamson corruption case.
Okay. It's very difficult to talk about this without coming across as being mean. Alcoholism is a serious thing. Needing a liver is something that is certainly extremely dramatic. So, all kidding aside, let's just go ahead and take a moment and say, Dana Williamson, here's to you. Cheers.